to do it. Cathy Engelbert is a coward.
That is the core accusation being leveled against the WNBA commissioner right now. It is a harsh assessment, but it is one gaining traction as the league grapples with a crisis of leadership, a massive cultural shift in viewership, and a failure to protect its most valuable asset in league history.
WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert was not planning to suspend Alyssa Thomas for burying a fist in Caitlin Clark's throat 3 weeks ago until NBA Commissioner Adam Silver implored her to reverse course and issue discipline, multiple sources told SBJ Tuesday. Wow.
This revelation from the Sports Business Journal changes the entire narrative surrounding the WNBA's disciplinary process. It suggests a total abdication of authority by Engelbert. If it took the NBA commissioner to step in and effectively override the WNBA front office to ensure a player was held accountable for a flagrant act, it raises a massive question about who is actually running the WNBA. Is it the commissioner, or is she effectively neutralized by the fear of her own players?
The fact that he came back and said, but we'll still have discussions about it. She's toast. She's got to be toast.
When NBA leadership starts having to manage the optics of the WNBA, the clock is usually already ticking on the incumbent commissioner. We are seeing a pattern of behavior here, where the league's top brass appears reactive rather than proactive. But before we get to why this specific disciplinary failure might be the final nail in the coffin, we need to look at the atmosphere that allowed it to happen. An atmosphere where the league's biggest star, Caitlin Clark, has been at the center of a storm since the moment she stepped on the court.
We got to remember, in 2024, in the beginning of 2025, people were paying up, way up, above ticket value, face ticket value to get into a Caitlin Clark game.
The decline in that explosive ticket demand isn't just about market correction, it's about fan sentiment. When fans feel that the league is mishandling its premier product, they disengage. We are talking about an unprecedented surge in interest that the league failed to capitalize on because they were too busy navigating internal politics and a perceived fear of the veteran player base. This isn't just about one foul or one suspension. It is about a consistent failure to read the room and protect the growth of the game.
Sources said believe Cathy Engelbert has gone overboard not to prioritize the Fever star, and they pointed to the fact she has not attended a Fever game in Indianapolis since Clark arrived 3 seasons ago.
Think about that for a second. The biggest star in the history of the league, a player who has arguably put the WNBA on the map for casual fans, and the commissioner has not attended a single game at the Fever's home arena during her tenure. This indicates a deliberate, if not misguided, attempt to remain neutral that has backfired significantly. By trying to appease the factions that feel overshadowed by Clark, Engelbert has effectively alienated the very audience that was driving the league's exponential growth.
By the way, we're learning this coming off the fact that she dodged Dan Patrick's show while she was at the very golf tournament Dan Patrick was at, that his show was being held from. She just decided she wasn't going to come on the show after committing to it.
Avoiding the spotlight when you are the face of a league under intense scrutiny is a dangerous game. When you commit to a major platform like the Dan Patrick Show and then bail, you aren't just missing an interview, you are telegraphing weakness. It looks like someone who is afraid of being asked the tough questions about the league's direction, the treatment of its stars, and its long-term viability. This lack of transparency is fueling the speculation that her days are numbered.
Even as benign as I believe Adam Silver can be, I will give him credit. He pivoted the NBA. This is something that needs to be done in the WNBA. 3 seasons ago, Adam Silver, before the start of the season, sent a clear message.
Adam Silver's pivot for the NBA, distancing the league from intense, polarizing political messaging, was a calculated move to stabilize the product. He understood that while players have voices, the organization's job is to present a sport that appeals to the widest possible demographic. The WNBA is currently struggling with that exact balance. The perception is that the league is held hostage by activists, and the commissioner's hesitation to enforce standard league rules like disciplining flagrant fouls is seen as proof of that imbalance.
Interesting. Cathy Engelbert was not going to do anything. Not going to do anything. She's clearly scared of the radical activist players in the league. Let's be real. She's scared of them.
That is a blunt, uncompromising way to put it. but it hits on the central frustration of the fan base. When you have a league where the commissioner is perceived to be afraid of the players, you lose the ability to maintain order. Discipline shouldn't be about politics or appeasement. It should be about consistent application of the rules. When that foundation is shaken, the entire integrity of the competition is brought into question.
But the thought process was, once the deal was done, she would likely be out the door at some point. That was the thought.
The timing is everything. We know the league was deep into CBA negotiations, and replacing a commissioner during a high-stakes labor deal is rarely done. But now that the deal is behind them, the guardrails are gone. Adam Silver's public support.
And based on the past week, the U.S. House Republicans sending a letter to Engelbert threatening federal scrutiny over the bullying of Clark, it's conceivable Silver and the owners from both leagues will escalate the review of her status.
This is where the situation moves from a sports controversy to a business and legal headache. When federal scrutiny enters the chat, the tolerance for perceived mismanagement drops to near zero. The owners, who are ultimately the ones writing the checks, are going to be far less concerned with protecting the commissioner's reputation and far more concerned with protecting the league.
Commissioner, you're fucked. That's a shut up and sit down and shut up moment. Right? You've got no power there. Y'all can bully Cathy. You're not going to bully Adam.
That highlights the power dynamic shift. The players may have felt they had leverage over the WNBA office, but the NBA commissioner is a different beast entirely. Adam Silver's involvement in the Alyssa Thomas suspension wasn't just about one player. It was a demonstration of where the real power lies. If the WNBA players were banking on the league office to protect them from standard disciplinary measures because of their social influence, they just found out that that shield is thinner than they thought.
Engelbert did not originally plan to suspend Thomas. Sources believe the fact that Silver needed to persuade Engelbert is another sign she is likely in her final season as commissioner.
It really boils down to this. Can a commissioner survive after the league's parent organization essentially has to do their job for them? The answer in almost every professional sports scenario is no. The job of a commissioner is to be the ultimate arbiter, the one who takes the heat and makes the tough calls. Once you defer those calls to someone else because you're worried about the optics of punishing a player, you've effectively resigned your authority.
You know what you do with those? You cut them out. You remove them. Adam Silver, get her out.
The demand for change is getting louder, and the evidence of a fracture between the commissioner's office and the league's growth potential is becoming impossible to ignore. Whether this happens immediately or following the end of the current season seems to be the only remaining question. The real tragedy here is that the WNBA had its biggest moment in history, and it's being overshadowed by a leadership crisis that could have been avoided with decisive action from day one. Do you think the league will survive this transition to a new commissioner, or has the damage already been done? Sound off in the comments below. Subscribe if you want to keep up with the fallout of this story, and I'll see you in the next one.